We just spoke to the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray. He seems to be saying that there's no problem that Rachel Reeves kept this £4.2 billion of surplus secret on November the 4th when she gave her, let's call it her scaremongering Cheerios speech, as we all now recognise it, early in the morning, warning that tax rises were coming because she just wanted to do that to increase her fiscal headroom. I then pointed out to him that it was a complete deceit and a lie to make out that there was a 20 billion black hole in the finances when there wasn't. He is trying to justify it as saying, well, the Chancellor has to make choices depending on the information she receives at the time. What's your reaction to that excuse? Because I didn't find it particularly credible. I made the point to Mr. Murray, why didn't she tell us that we were 4.2 billion in surplus at the end of October?
Yeah. So I think the Chancellor has got some very serious questions to answer, and I really hope that she comes herself to Parliament tomorrow to answer questions from members of Parliament rather than sending another minister in her stead. Honestly, the government obviously is democratically elected. The government can make decisions. The government can make those choices. But I think that, if she's got one piece of information and then goes out and says that something else is happening, that's very destabilising for confidence of households and of the market. So she's got very serious questions to answer about why on earth she went out there to do that pre-budget speech, which is almost unheard of in this country. We don't have that system in place. I do think there are broader questions about whether the entire budget process is fit for purpose. I think it isn't. I think the public would benefit from there being far more transparency and to adopt a system where we see a draft budget and then we have proper debate over a period of time.
More transparency than we had over the last 6 weeks of pitch rolling of a budget. We're going to put up tax. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to freeze thresholds. Almost every aspect of that budget was leaked in some way or the other. Now, a previous Chancellor, Hugh Dalton, had to resign when he went to the pub with a journalist and leaked one aspect of the budget he was about to deliver. So you want more transparency. How much transparency do you want?
Look, I don't think leaks are transparency, because don't forget that amongst all those leaks, many of those leaks have come to pass, but many of them haven't. And so the public were left not knowing which taxes would go up, which ones wouldn't, whether there was going to be an overhaul of particular tax systems, whether other ones were going to be would just be left to have tinkering around the edges. What I would like to see is a budget that is published up front as a draft budget, rather than just giving MPs 4 days to debate that budget. We should have, some serious time to debate it properly, to see all the different arguments, so you can tease out the differences between, say, the Treasury and the OBR.
Then you're in danger, perhaps, of a budget being tweaked to the disgruntlement of backbenchers. I mean, that's already been the case with the last one.
That was going to be my last.
Well, I was going to say, and then to the disgruntlement of rival MPs. Why aren't you calling for the Chancellor and indeed the PM, if he knew about the surplus and also didn't tell the public, to resign?
Because I think that the Chancellor needs to come and answer questions in the House of Commons first.
Hang on a minute, Daisy Cooper. How many times in the last Parliament did you repeatedly call for the likes of Boris Johnson and then Rishi Sunak and indeed Liz Truss to resign? Why are you only ever calling for people on the right to resign and not people on the left? Surely if the Chancellor has lied to the public, lied to politicians, lied to the House and misled the markets, it's a resignation offence, open and shut.
Look, in the last Parliament, I think there were very, very good reasons as to why we did call for Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak to resign. And if you look,
why were you calling for Rishi Sunak to resign? What did he have to resign over?
I can't remember whether maybe it wasn't him. It was probably many of the other ministers.
Hang on a minute. You'd called for so many people to resign that you can't remember why you called for them to resign.
Well, let's remember the last Parliament was in such chaos.
For Partygate. So you've called for Boris Johnson to resign over Partygate, Kwasi Kwarteng to resign over the budget chaos, Rishi Sunak over tax affairs and COVID fraud losses. You asked for Priti Patel to resign over refugee handling. You asked for Richard Sharp to resign over the Gary Lineker row. He was the BBC chairman. Let's not forget, and we'll get onto this in a minute, you're constantly asking for Robbie Gibb to resign. And you don't want the Chancellor or the PM to resign when they have been found to have lied in a budget.
Well, on all of those previous cases, we have been asking questions before it got to the point that we called for them to resign. I think the case of Rachel Reeves, she hasn't answered questions yet. No, Boris Johnson was asked several times. He was asked questions in Parliament several times over. He was given many occasions to answer questions in the House of Commons chamber. You were still calling for him
to resign before he answered questions in Parliament, though, weren't you?
No, but there were several questions asked.
Is it just because the Lib Dems are quite cosy with Labour and you don't mind it because they're on the left like you are? You'd much rather have a go at righties?
There is absolutely nothing cosy about the Liberal Democrats and Labour right now.
Cosy at PMQs
They
on
They are bringing in a stealth tax on both households and on high streets. We have called that out. We have slammed their budget as having nothing in it to promote growth, nothing in it to alleviate the cost of living. That isn't a sign of a cosy relationship. That's us being a constructive opposition that holds the government to account.